Tank is a dessert brand based around a unique ingredient.
L'Oreal walked into the tank looking for $250,000 for 12% of her high-end edible flower business. So she has a lot of different products. She has pressed flowers you can buy, flower sprinkles. The main thing I'm going to focus on, though, with talking about, the business side of things is these cookies, because that was the main thing she broke down. And I don't want to go through every single item she has on her website because it is immense. So this box comes with a dozen cookies. It costs them $7.50 to make and sells for $50. Yes, you heard me correctly. 50 American doll hairs.
Per box?
Whoa.
50.
That's right.
Wow.
That's some proud cookies.
Now, while I might think that's an outrageous price for cookies, somebody's buying them because in 3 years, they have lifetime sales of $2.2 million. But the golden question for this season, are they profitable?
Am I profitable?
Am I profitable? I want to know.
All right, you let us know costs.
I am very profitable.
And for once, the answer is yes. In 2021, the year before the year this is filmed, they did $750,000 in sales, and she walked away with $330,000. So, I might think the price is ridiculous, but something's going right. She's been in places like Oprah, New York Magazine, Goop, obviously Goop. The whole time she was pitching, I was like, this should be the Gwyneth Paltrow episode. They would vibe. They would bond. So the sharks are wondering, why does she need a shark? She seems like she's doing well on her own. And she brings up that she really wants a mentor to kind of help her figure out this business because she wasn't even really intending to start a business in the first place. Robert brings up how he's worried that if they start to scale it, it's going to lose that uniqueness and beauty to it. And she brings up that she could see her cookies in Starbucks.
At $50.
So no, she doesn't want the $50 box in there. I just thought that was a funny line. She brings up how they would do it like 2 cookies for $7.50 or something like that. Kevin sees money, so he's got to make an offer of $250,000 for 25%. He says they need to keep the brand luxury and just blow it up.
So I want 25%.
What do you think of this offer?
What do I think of it? I want to hear your offer, Lori.
So Lori, Robert, and Mark are all kind of in the same thinking of it's a beautiful luxury item and she's a great entrepreneur, but she is the business and she's the brand. So there's not really much they feel like they can invest in. So Lori, Mark, and Robert all go out. Then we're left with Barbara, who still just doesn't understand why she needs another partner. Loria says she needs help and money to build a team because at the moment she's doing everything. And Barbara thinks that's a pretty good answer. So she ends up offering her $250,000 for 15%.
You just say yes.
And they make a deal. Final thoughts. I was happy to see a company come in and actually be profitable. All that good stuff. But this just isn't a product for me. I've said it before with the pretty rugged, waterproof outdoor wear. I'm just not a luxury brand person. I don't really understand the concept of luxury brands, so good for her for making good money, but I literally could not pull my credit card out to buy this. It would break apart into 1,000 pieces. If we get away from the really expensive cookies and chocolates that are similar to this that she has on her website, she does have some kind of fun stuff that I would maybe buy if I was feeling like I wanted like something special or just to test it out for Shark Tank videos. Like she has cocktail cubes. She has a little cookbook. That was the thing that I was like, that I could see myself buying. I love a fun cookbook. She had a flower pressing kit. So I think, overall there's some fun stuff to this business. It's very niche. Again, I was with the sharks. I just don't really see an investment. But I'm glad she got Barbara as a mentor, and I'll be interested to kind of see where this goes. Again, it's fun. These cookies blew my mind. When she said it was $50 a box, let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's Squirtmaster Pro. Oh, I love that thing.
Greg walked into the tank looking for $150,000 for 10% of his on-the-go sunscreen solution. So here's what it looks like. It comes in these 3 different styles, and then each style has multiple color options. I honestly don't know if there's any utility difference or if it's just a look thing, but I'm going to let him explain to you a little bit about how this thing works.
So we just put a little bit of solution in there, pop the cap off, put it back on. That stays flat against there. This nozzle goes on the outside of the wrist. And that way when we are wearing the band, we can now turn our wrist and our hand comes from underneath and pushes on the face. So right now I have no solution in there, and I push. And as you can see,
So all three of these are a different price. So for the cost breakdown, I'm pretty sure he's talking about this one. It cost him $5 to make. He wholesales for $9.99 and then retails it for $19.95. A big part of this whole thing is he has a patent for the valve that lets solution out and then also lets air back in without it leaking everywhere and making it easy to squeeze. He talked to about 15 to 17 different industrial designers that said this would not be possible. But then he had a big breakthrough while clicking a pin and was wondering, how does that stay a writin'? And it's apparently through what's called an annular seal. I'm not going to pretend to be an engineer and explain what an annular seal to you is, but that is what it's called.
Okay, let's get into the numbers. So have you sold any of these?
Well, we just started manufacturing a month ago. So
Right.
Oh,
So, have you
why.
sold any?
we've sold a couple, but not a lot.
When you say it,
2? You literally sold 2?
Well, a little more than 2, maybe 200.
Okay.
200.
So
Then he goes on to talk about how his goal was to create a product, get it patented, and then go on Shark Tank, and that this is his dream come true.
Greg, is there any part of your dream that had sales?
Time to get into the sharks. So Barbara thinks it's too competitive of a market, so she's out. Mark thinks it's a super cool idea, but it's going to be a hard sell because of how much explaining there is to it. And overall, it's just not a fit for him, so he's out. Lori thinks it's also a great idea and that he's on the right path, but needs help with marketing, and points out the name makes it seem like it's only a surfing product, but it could be a lot more than that. Like you could put hand sanitizer in it, lotion, but overall, she just thinks it's too niche, so she also goes out. Kevin thinks it's a great product for like TikTok or Instagram, but not an investable business, so he's out. And Robert, like most of the other sharks, thinks it's super clever but agrees the name needs to be changed and says he likes Kevin's name better from the opening clip. He also just doesn't think it's a big enough market, so he's out. So at this point, all the sharks are out, but Greg just keeps wanting to pitch them.
We're all out, Greg.
Sorry, Greg.
let me just say one more thing. I drove up the coast from Maryland to all the surf shops.
Yeah.
Great
Thank
job,
you very
Greg.
much.
Greg,
Thank
you'll
you.
do well with
Good
it.
luck.
And even after that, he still will not quit.
There's somebody else waiting for that spot, Greg. We got to go.
Go down that road.
Yeah, good luck,
You got to
Greg.
turn around and go down with Greg.
Cheers now.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Good luck.
Cheers.
I think he'll be back for dinner.
Finally, he ends up leaving without a deal, and I timed it. In just the show length time, it was a full minute. So God only knows how long that went on in real time. If a producer ever sees this, please tell me. That's all I want to know.
You know what's really funny? This is the first season where we've had a lot of people where they never leave the government.
Yeah, no kidding,
I
right?
feel comfortable with us.
Final thoughts. Overall, I agree with the Sharks. First of all, I think he came in way too early. I think he should have just waited a little while till he had a better amount of sales. Number two, I really agree that the name needs to change because there's a lot of other things you could use this for, like the hand sanitizer thing. I would love to have this for when I'm going on walks with my dog. I do think it's a good price point, and I can't say that about most things this season. And in my opinion, it's a really neat, simple idea. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.
So I went to bed with makeup on my face, and I'm still looking as fresh as a daisy.
No way.
Fiona walked into the tank looking for $400,000 for 5% of her makeup you can sleep in. So these are the products she came into the tank with. She has more now, but we're going to focus on these since we're talking about the show. We have a primer in the top. The bottom corner is a lip gloss, and then the one right below me is what they're known best for, their color-changing blush.
And so something that other makeups don't do?
The gloss sells for $26, the primer for $38, and the blush for $36. And the cost to make everything is between $4 and $6. They started in April of 2021, and so far she has $2 million in lifetime sales. She came up with the idea because she was flying back and forth from California to Asia all the time, and she kept falling asleep in her makeup and wanted to make makeup that acted more like skincare. And along with that, she wanted to make a blush that was flattering for all shades. So she came up with this color-changing blush that reacts to your pH balance. If you want more information about how all that works and her story, I would suggest going to her TikTok because she went viral on here, and that's actually where most of her sales come from, was blowing up on here. Kevin says he's going to offer her the $400,000, but of course he can't just be normal about it. So he breaks it down like this. $100,000 for 20% equity, $300,000 is a loan, and any distributions that come out of the company, he gets 20 cents and she gets 80 cents. She obviously wants to hear more offers than that. Unfortunately, though, Robert doesn't understand the business, so he goes out. Lori said she sold cosmetics over the years, but she's just not big on oil, so she goes out. Then Fiona talks about how she's going to be launching 3 additional shades of the blush.
That are
I thought
non-color
the one
changing.
shade was perfect for every skin.
She says she's gotten a lot of requests from the community to add additional shades, and Barbara does not like that answer, and she says that she's just not clear on the product now, so she goes out.
And sometimes you shouldn't listen to your customers.
After all this talk, Mark becomes worried about the effectiveness of the product, so unfortunately, he's out.
Fiona, as usual, all roads lead back to Mr. Wonderful.
Fiona decides to counter Kevin for 8%, but he's not willing to do it. He says it's too early in a brutally competitive market.
She's got $2.1 million in sales. That's not nothing. In a year.
But I'm Mr. Wonderful.
Kevin says he thinks she has a bright future ahead of her, but that the deal's just not interesting enough for him and thinks maybe she asked for too much money. Then she says Kevin's favorite word.
Would you be willing to do a royalty deal?
I'm listening.
What did she say?
I'm listening.
royalty deal,
I'm
what?
listening.
Fiona counters $400,000 for 5% with a 50-cent royalty on every unit sold until he's paid back $500,000. Kevin counters 10% equity with a $1 royalty until he gets back $800,000. Then she asks if he's willing to lower the equity amount at all.
Okay, here's a counter. I'm enjoying this.
Then Mark starts chiming in, and Barbara thinks he's doing his whole trying to coach them through a negotiation thing that he loves to do.
Would you do
No, wait.
$400,000?
She's doing fine. Leave her alone. Leave her
No,
alone.
for me.
Mark says he's willing to make an offer, but he's gonna need some more equity because it's not only him. She's also getting his 2 daughters and his wife, which I thought was funny, but also kind of cute. And he ends up offering her $400,000 for 10% with no royalty. She tries countering for 8%, but he says no because you're getting 4 of us, which again, I just thought was so funny.
I'm worth it.
Mark even throws out that he'll start doing demos, and Kevin knows he can't compete with that, so he says he'll do the deal at 7%, but wants the royalty to pay him back $1 million. Then Mark says, just to prove a point, he'll do 8% no royalty, and she makes a deal with Mark for $400,000 for 8%.
Kevin, you have to get up and leave the Shark Tank. Fiona's taking your chair. How good a negotiator was she?
She was great. She was sticking to her
better
guns.
than Mark. She was really
She was better
marking.
than Mark.
But I wasn't negotiating with her, Thea, I was negotiating against Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Final thoughts. It was great to watch an entrepreneur who actually knew her numbers and knew how to negotiate. She was on top of every single question they asked, and I loved her for it. I'd be really interested to try this product, honestly, but I don't think it'll end up being for me because I'm more of a matte look girl, but I still feel like I have to try it because it just seems cool. I also want to go back to the thing about adding different shades of the blush. I do agree with Mark that sometimes you just shouldn't listen to your customers because sometimes they're wrong, but I don't think it says anything necessarily about how well the color changing one works. To me, that just signals that people really like the formula, but maybe want a different color, because sometimes with blush, you don't want that perfectly flush look. Sometimes you want a little razzle-dazzle. I don't know, that's at least what I got out of it. I'd love to hear what y'all think about that situation. Had you already seen this product on TikTok? Let me know in the comments and let me know what you think in general, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, I've had a lot of fun up here, but now it's time for me to close my big mouth and open my ears to any questions that you might have. Thank you so much for listening.
Good job.
Bobby walked into the tank looking for $150,000 for 10% of her electric toothbrush with a wide toothbrush head.
I know what you're thinking. Why does she care so much about teeth? Why does she care so much about oral health care?
Why?
Why?
So Bobby's an orthodontist, and that's how she came up with this toothbrush. She says the bigger head gives more of a massaging feeling and helps to cover more surface area, which can also help cut down the time of toothbrushing. It has 5 different settings, which are clean, polish, white, gum care, and sensitive. It cost her $14 to make, and she said on the tank that it sells for $69.99, but when I looked on the website, it looks like they're only on sale for that, and that they usually cost $99.99. They'd been in business about 6 months and had $60,000 in sales, but in that 6 months, they were only selling for 4 of them because 2 of those months, they were totally sold out of inventory. So Kevin wonders why the big manufacturers won't just rip this off. She says she has a design patent pending on the size of the toothbrush, but Kevin and the other sharks kind of wonder how they would actually defend that patent. And then we get this great story time with Kevin.
Because I actually know your industry. My paper, when I graduated, my MBA was on the dental industry and the office.
Of course it was. But that was 150 years ago.
Kevin goes on to say that the same suppliers control this market now that did 20 years ago. But then Bobby just kind of moves on and goes on a different story, and we get this great little side note.
Barbara, you're gonna love this. So, my mom's name is Barbara. My name is Barbara.
Wow.
I thought it was Bobby.
But they call me Bobby. I named my daughter after me, so we have 3 generations of Barbaras.
Oh,
How confusing.
You need a Barbara.
Lori, Robert, and Mark all think it's way too tough of a space and go out, but Barbara wants to know what she needs the money for. She says she needs the money to hire a proper staff because at the moment she's using her dental assistants and she doesn't want them to quit. She also needs a place for them to box up the toothbrushes and says she really wants to go into retail.
You love to go into retail?
I think so.
Crazy. It's all over the board.
After she says that, Barbara just doesn't feel like it's a business for her, so she goes out, and as usual, all roads lead to Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, you don't want to hear my offer.
Before he gives his offer, he says this line that just made me laugh, because it feels like it's just a universally true business thing, but I don't know.
How is that going to happen? The more you sell, the more you're going to need inventory. The more you're going to have to order, and you've got a full-time...
Then Kevin talks about maybe she just asked for too much money, and that's the issue with the deal.
Maybe.
Less money.
After so much back and forth, she just wants to finally hear what he has to offer.
Let me hear. Like I said, I am no stranger to struggle.
Come on, Kev, you can do it.
Kevin says the only way he'll do it is $150,000 for 25% and a $5 royalty in perpetuity.
There's no way to get my money.
Then Robert asks Kevin, is that a real offer?
You like that offer?
I don't like that offer.
Bobby counters Kevin $150,000 for 20% and a $2 royalty.
Yeah, I'll take that deal.
Yeah, Barbara. What?
I wanted you.
The corker is swoop. It's the force, Barbara.
And she ends up making the deal with Barbara. Final thoughts. I'm not an orthodontist, so I don't really have like a lot of opinions on this, except for the fact that I feel like it makes a lot more sense at $69.99 than it does at $99.99, because electric toothbrushes are already kind of expensive, but $70 feels a lot better than $100, so there's that. Overall, though, I love Bobby. I think she is so fun. That beginning clip where she does her whole little spiel and yes, she just seems like so cool and so nice, and I'm so glad she got her 4th Barbara, and I hope she does well with this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.